there is a quiet trap we often fall into. The belief that our constant availability is a virtue. That to be good, to be kind, to be dependable, we must always say yes, always respond, always show up, always be reachable.
Duh.
But what if that need to be present in every space, in every conversation, in every moment, is not a sign of strength, but a slow erosion of your peace? We live in a world where being accessible is praised, phones buzzing every minute, people reaching out for favors, help, attention. And somewhere along the way, many of us equated availability with love. We began to think, if I'm not always there, I'll lose them, I'll disappoint them, I won't be enough. But the truth is something much deeper and much more freeing. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic minds, wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less." It wasn't a call to laziness, it was a call to focus, a call to reclaim your soul from the chaos of overcommitment. You are not meant to be everything to everyone. Not every battle requires your sword. Not every call deserves your answer. Not every emergency is yours to solve. When you say yes out of guilt or fear, instead of purpose or clarity, you're not helping. You're draining. You're depleting the sacred energy you need to become who you were truly meant to be. We are conditioned to believe that being constantly available is a form of loyalty, of generosity, even of love. Let's look deeper. If your presence in others' lives comes at the cost of your absence in your own, what are you really giving? Stoicism teaches us to know the difference between what we can control and what we cannot. And among the things we can control is our attention, our time, our boundaries. That's not selfishness. That's wisdom. Your availability is a currency. Spend it on what aligns with your values. Guard it with discernment. You're not infinite. Your time isn't endless. Your energy isn't limitless. Every moment you give away without thought is a moment you'll never get back. And so the shift begins with a question. What do you owe to yourself that you have been giving to everyone else? When you're always available, people begin to believe you're always supposed to be. They forget you have your own life, your own limits, your own dreams. And it's not their fault. You've taught them that version of you. But you can teach them a new one. Not with anger, not with withdrawal, but with clarity and calm. You can show them what it means to honor your time, to be intentional with your presence, to choose your silence over scattered noise, to choose quality over quantity. This shift will not be easy. There will be resistance. People will question you, criticize you, maybe even withdraw from you, but that's okay, because growth is not about pleasing everyone. It's about pleasing the deeper truth within yourself. When you begin to pull back, not from love, but from the illusion that love must always be loud and present, you create space. And in that space, you begin to breathe again. You begin to think clearly. You begin to choose your life instead of constantly reacting to it. There is great strength in becoming selectively available. You're not closing the door on others. You're opening the door to yourself. And as you stand in that space, quiet, firm, undistracted, something powerful happens. The people who only came to take will drift away. The situations that only drained will lose their grip. The noise that once demanded your attention will seem distant and irrelevant. You will begin to hear your own thoughts again. You will begin to sense your own direction. And most importantly, you will remember who you are. Not in the eyes of others, but in your own. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because growth often looks like disobedience to those who are used to your compliance. When you stop being available, people might not understand. They might think you're cold, you're arrogant, you've changed. And they'd be right. You have changed. You're no longer available for drama, no longer available for endless explanations, no longer available for the cycle of give, until there's nothing left of you. You've stepped into something rarer. Self-respect. So many of life's anxieties come from overextension, from being stretched in directions that have nothing to do with your purpose, from being pulled into stories that were never yours to carry. Every time you return a call, you didn't want to answer. Every time you say yes, when your soul was screaming no, you whisper to yourself that your peace doesn't matter. But it does. It always has. When you reclaim your availability, when you become more present to what truly matters, everything begins to change. You'll walk differently, think differently. People will treat you differently. Some with more respect, some with more distance. But you won't fear the difference anymore, because you well know this. The people who truly value you will not require your constant presence to feel your love. They will honor your need for solitude, your growth, your space. And the ones who don't, let them go. Their place in your life was never supposed to cost you your sanity. You owe no one unlimited access to your heart, your energy, or your time. Let that sink in. There is a strange magic that happens when you step back. In a world addicted to noise, to appearances, to constant motion, your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. People start to notice the stillness you leave behind. Not out of malice, not because you seek attention, but because your silence disrupts the pattern they were used to. When you stop being available, you start becoming visible, not as a shadow of what others want you to be, but as the shape of who you truly are. And for the first time, people have to see you as you are, without your service, your sacrifice, your approval. They can no longer use your attention as their mirror. They can no longer count on your availability to escape their own responsibilities. Absence becomes your mirror. In the silence, you begin to notice how much of your worth was tied to being there for others. How much of your identity depended on being needed, praised, or involved. But what if your value didn't need proof? What if your worth remained even in your withdrawal? The Stoics teach us this. To step back is not to disappear. It is to return to the center. Epictetus reminded us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. Sometimes, that freedom begins with absence. The choice to not be everything, everywhere, all the time. Absence forces people to confront their own effort. If they truly value your presence, they will learn to reach out in balance, not just in need. If they only came to take, they'll fade, replaced by the echoes of your once endless yes. You begin to see who truly saw you, and who only saw what you could give. It is a painful clarity, but it is powerful. Begin to notice how little time you gave to yourself. How many nights you spent fixing problems that weren't yours. How many moments were stolen by distractions disguised as duty. In your absence, you reclaim that time. You begin to ask, what brings me peace? What drains me? What do I want to do when no one is watching? When no one is asking? When no one is needing? And the answers may startle you, because when you stop being available, your true self emerges from behind the curtain of people-pleasing. You remember the books you wanted to read, the places you wanted to go, the habits you wanted to form, the silence you were afraid of. That silence, it becomes your sanctuary. You're no longer rushing to fill it with another voice, another meeting, another call. You begin to sit in it, breathe in it, even treasure it. And slowly, the anxiety that once came from being unavailable fades, because now you understand, the world will keep turning. People will adjust. And most importantly, you will heal. Healing comes in waves. First there's guilt. Guilt for not replying. Guilt for saying no. Guilt for setting limits. But then comes the wave of peace, of realizing you are not a machine. Your energy is sacred. That your boundaries are not walls. They are doors, with locks that only open to what nourishes your soul. You begin to understand that your availability was a way of avoiding yourself. As long as you were busy solving others, you didn't have to sit with your own wounds, your own fears, your own neglected dreams. Now, in the stillness of absence, you are finally facing them. And in doing so, you begin to repair them. You stop being available for gossip, for shallow praise, for performative friendships, for toxic expectations. You stop bending just to fit a frame someone else made for you. You stop shrinking your power so others feel comfortable. In the space of your absence, your essence expands. You become more precise, more grounded, more honest. The people who truly resonate with your growth, they'll find you in this new place. Not because you're chasing them, but because your energy now speaks louder than your presence ever did, Seneca once wrote. Withdraw into yourself as far as you can. This was not a call to isolation. It was a call to contemplation. To root your life not in the noise of the crowd, but in the truth of your own soul. Modern life makes that difficult. We are expected to reply instantly, to be reachable, to always perform. But the truth is this: the most powerful people are not the loudest. They are the most centered. And that centering begins when you stop being pulled in every direction. Some people will misunderstand your absence. They will project their own insecurities onto your silence. They'll call it arrogance, coldness, selfishness. But that is their reflection, not yours. You do not owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. The time you spend alone, with your thoughts, with your breath, is not wasted. It is where your clarity is born. When you are always available, you are always reacting. But when you pull back, you begin to respond. With thought, with wisdom, with calm. This shift in presence changes the quality of your actions. Your words carry more weight. Your presence becomes intentional. You are no longer everywhere, and so when you do show up, people listen, because now your presence means something. And so, in your absence, you rise, not above others, but above your past patterns. You elevate your energy, you refine your relationships, you honor your needs. You begin to notice the beauty in your own company, quiet strength in not being seen, not being praised, not being needed. That is the path to emotional freedom. You do not need to answer every call. Do not need to explain every decision. You do not need to fight every misunderstanding. You only need to be true to yourself, to your values, to your peace. So when you step away, do not fear what you leave behind. Trust what you're stepping into. And if this spoke to a part of you that's been whispering for rest, let it be your sign. You're allowed to be unavailable. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to heal. And in doing so, you give others the permission to do the same. If this brought you peace, share it.